In the dim glow of a hospital room in rural Ohio, where the beeps of monitors echoed like a somber symphony, 8-year-old Lily Thompson clutched her worn teddy bear, her wide blue eyes staring out the window at the falling autumn leaves. She had always been a dreamer, the kind of girl who believed in magic and miracles, even as leukemia ravaged her tiny body. "Mommy," she whispered one evening, her voice barely above a rasp, "if I could have one wish, it'd be to meet President Trump. He's like a superhero in those stories you read me, he fights for people like us." Her mother, Sarah, froze at the bedside, her heart shattering into 1,000 pieces. Sarah and her husband, Mike, were simple folks, he a laid-off factory worker, she a part-time nurse scraping by on food stamps. Politics had never been their thing, but Lily's obsession with the former president stemmed from clips she'd seen on TV, where he rallied crowds with promises of greatness. How could they deny her this? With trembling hands, Sarah reached out to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, never imagining the chain of events it would unleash. The Thompsons' life had been a whirlwind of hardship long before Lily's diagnosis. Mike had lost his job at the steel mill 2 years prior, when overseas competition shuttered the plant that had employed 3 generations of his family. Sarah juggled shifts at the local clinic, often coming home exhausted, her scrubs stained with the day's battles. Their modest home on the outskirts of town was a patchwork of repairs, leaky roof patched with tarp, walls adorned with Lily's crayon drawings of happier times. Lily, their only child, had been the light in their darkness, her laughter filling the rooms like sunshine. But now, as treatments failed and doctors spoke in hushed tones about palliative care, the family clung to each other, desperate for a spark of joy. The wish request was approved faster than they expected, perhaps because Lily's story tugged at heartstrings across the organization. "We'll do our best," the coordinator said, but Sarah harbored doubts. Trump was a busy man, embroiled in campaigns and controversies. What were the odds he'd make time for a little girl from nowhere? Days turned into weeks, and Lily's condition worsened. She spent more time asleep than awake, her once vibrant curls now thin and patchy from chemo. Mike paced the halls, his calloused hands clenched in frustration. "This is ridiculous," he'd mutter to Sarah. "Wishing on a star like that. We should be focusing on real help, bills, meds." But Sarah saw the fire in Lily's eyes whenever they talked about the wish, it was the only thing keeping her fighting. Then, one crisp October morning, the phone rang. It was the foundation. "Mr. Trump has agreed to meet Lily. He's flying her and your family to Mar-a-Lago." The words hung in the air like a dream. Mike dropped his coffee mug, shattering it on the kitchen floor. Sarah burst into tears. How? Why? They weren't donors or influencers, just ordinary Americans. But Trump had heard about Lily through a mutual contact, a veteran who'd served in Afghanistan and now volunteered with the foundation. He said yes immediately, the coordinator explained. Said no child should face this alone. The flight to Florida was a blur of firsts for the Thompsons. Lily, bundled in blankets and hooked to a portable oxygen tank, gazed out the window at the clouds, her face lit with wonder. "It's like we're in heaven already," she giggled weakly. Mike, who had never left Ohio, gripped the armrests, his skepticism melting into quiet awe. Sarah held Lily's hand, whispering prayers. Upon landing, a sleek black SUV whisked them to the opulent estate, where palm trees swayed in the breeze and the ocean whispered secrets. Security was tight, but the staff greeted them with warmth, offering fresh fruit and toys for Lily. As they waited in a sun-drenched parlor, adorned with gold accents and American flags, Mike fidgeted. What if he's not what she thinks? What if this disappoints her? Sarah squeezed his arm. It's her wish, Mike. Let's give her this moment. When Donald Trump entered the room, it was like a force of nature had arrived. Tall, with that signature shock of hair and a booming voice, he strode in wearing a red tie and a smile that could light up a stadium. Lily. My little fighter, he exclaimed, kneeling down to her level despite his age. Lily's eyes widened, her frail hand reaching out. Mr. President, you're real. Trump chuckled, a genuine, hearty laugh that filled the space. Of course I am, kiddo. And you're the real hero here. Tell me, what's your favorite thing about America? They talked for what felt like hours. Lily sharing her dreams of becoming a president herself one day, Trump regaling her with stories of his own childhood mischief and how he built his empire from scratch. He signed her teddy bear, posed for photos, and even let her wear his famous red hat, which swallowed her small head. Sarah and Mike watched in stunned silence, seeing their daughter come alive in ways they hadn't witnessed in months. But the meeting took an unexpected turn when Trump pulled Mike aside. "I hear you've been out of work," he said quietly, his tone shifting from showman to sincere. Mike nodded, embarrassed. "Yeah, mill closed. Tough times." Trump nodded thoughtfully. "America's backbone is guys like you. We can't let that go." He then turned to Sarah. "And you, taking care of everyone, nurses like you saved my life once." Sarah blushed, but before she could respond, Trump waved in an aide carrying a folder. "I've got something for you folks." Inside were documents outlining a scholarship fund for Lily's medical bills, already paid in full, and a job offer for Mike at a Trump-affiliated manufacturing plant reopening in Ohio. "It's not charity," Trump insisted. "It's investing in good people. And for Lily." He paused, his voice softening. "We're setting up a foundation in her name to help other kids like her. We'll call it Lily's Fighters." The family was speechless. This wasn't just a photo op, it was a lifeline. Lily beamed, hugging Trump with all her remaining strength. "You're my superhero," she whispered. As they prepared to leave, Trump knelt again. "You keep fighting, okay? America's got your back." On the flight home, Lily slept peacefully, a content smile on her face. But the real transformation began in the days that followed. Mike started his new job, the weight of unemployment lifting like a fog. Sarah quit her second shift, allowing her to be home more. And Lily? She rallied, her spirits buoyed by the encounter. Doctors called it a miracle response, perhaps the power of hope manifesting in her body. Yet, as winter approached, Lily's health declined again. One snowy evening, she slipped away peacefully in her sleep, her teddy bear still clutched tight. The Thompsons were devastated, but amid the grief, something had shifted. Trump's act hadn't just met a wish, it had rebuilt their world. The medical bills vanished, Mike's job provided stability, and the Lily's Fighters Foundation launched with a gala at Mar-a-Lago, raising millions for pediatric cancer research. Sarah found purpose in advocating for it, traveling to speak at events, her voice steady as she shared their story. Mike, once bitter about the system, volunteered at the plant, mentoring young workers. "He showed us kindness when we needed it most," Mike would say. "Reminded us that one person can change everything." In the years that followed, the Thompsons' home transformed from a place of struggle to one of quiet strength. Photos of Lily adorned the walls, alongside framed letters from Trump, who checked in annually. Sarah remarried eventually, but Mike remained a steadfast father figure in spirit, dedicating his life to the foundation. They spoke at schools, sharing Lily's tale not as a tragedy, but as a testament to humanity's potential. In a world that feels divided, Sarah would conclude her talks, "Remember that compassion bridges every gap. One act of selflessness can echo forever." The story of Lily and Trump spread like wildfire, inspiring countless others. Families facing similar battles reached out, and the foundation grew, funding wishes and research across the nation. It wasn't about politics, it was about people, ordinary folks lifted by an extraordinary gesture. In small towns and big cities, from coast to coast, people whispered her name as a symbol of hope. Lily's last wish hadn't just been met, it had ignited a chain reaction of goodness, proving that even in the face of loss, kindness could change lives forever. And so, as the Thompsons looked to the future, they carried Lily's light within them, a beacon reminding the world that true power lies not in titles or wealth, but in the simple act of reaching out to another human soul. In America, where dreams are born from resilience, their story became a rallying cry: never underestimate the impact of one compassionate heart.